Hey, Jennifer.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How's our boy doing today? Hi, Eric. Love you, sweetie pie.
Hello, love you too.
And thank you so much for saying I love you too on the New World Order and Global Elite video. That was so cool.
He's like, I do what I can.
Yeah, dude. It's how I roll.
Yes,
All right. So,
exactly.
Eric, you want to talk about life purpose, spiritual mission, things like that?
Yeah, yeah. So with life purpose, it's like there's a all-encompassing life purpose for us, and that is to come here and to grow our souls and to work on whatever it is we're trying to perfect and grow. That's the general why we're all here, big picture. Now, each individual soul has a different life purpose, and our our life purposes involve helping others, and sometimes it can be one of your purposes to be getting off the subway at that exact moment when that person almost fell, and to pick them up and help them out, and that you don't know what, like, you don't know what that did for the rest of their life, you just being there in that moment. So our life purpose, it's like it's very intricate. It's like I always like think of it like a cobweb. And if you pull an end all the way over here, it affects something all the way down here that you might not see or might not notice. So life purpose is a big thing for all of us. We all want to feel like, oh, we're here to do something great and something wonderful and something huge. And most of the time, our life purposes, we might not even notice what it was because we don't see the ripple effect as it goes out. So what happens is in this plane, so to speak, we feel like we're not doing enough. Like, I'm supposed to be doing more. What am I here for? What's the purpose? And it's so hard because we can't see it all the time. We just have to trust and believe that there's a reason for it.
All right. So it's like, are you saying, Eric, that as a collective, we have one life purpose, and as individuals, we have a life purpose, maybe more than one, and it may be seemingly trivial,
Yes.
or in
Yes.
some maybe grand, in some cases.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because some souls come in and there is a grand life purpose this time, and that would be more the people who uh, would be leaders, would be known by millions of people for making change, that sort of thing. That's a big, grand life purpose for the individual, but it ripples out and affects so many. So yeah, the general life purpose is really to come and learn and to grow our souls and to perfect our souls with whatever it is we're trying to work on and learn. That's the reason we come here. It happens faster here. It's what we work on the other side too. Um, he just said it's just a lot more fun over here, so it takes longer than it does there. It's why we go there.
Wait, it's a lot more fun where?
On the other side.
Oh, okay. Well, dang. But it takes a lot
uh,
longer because you don't have that contrast, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's so much contrast here, and what he's saying is that the problem is that because there's so much contrast here, it's easy to get bogged down in the negative, in the you're not doing enough, you're not making a big enough change, a big enough difference, you're not helping enough, and that's where the issue comes in for us when we're here, because a lot of times our life purpose is on a smaller scale, and there's many different, it's not just one purpose that you're here for. He said you're here for many different purposes, and to help many other people, um, and to learn while you're going through it.
Well, I remember you said that I don't know if it's as a collective or as individuals on a base level that we are here, well, not to really learn because we already know everything. It's pretty much to remember that we are loved. Is that still
Yes.
the case? I mean, you said that early on, so maybe you changed your mind.
Yeah, it's not, it's Well, it's more like we have the capacity to know everything.
Yeah.
We have the capacity, each one of us individually. And again, I go back to the brain. We only use such a small portion of our brain, or the brain holds the capacity for past, present, future
Is
to know
that Erik?
everything.
Erik saying
Yes.
I? Okay.
Yes. Sorry. So we have the capacity to know everything. But we're still working. We're still working on accessing that information. As even in our souls, it's hard sometimes to remember everything.
Oh,
So
okay.
we keep working on it, but we do have the capacity to know everything, past,
I
present, future.
I very often get people who are so mired down in the negative, like you say, Erik, that they don't want to live anymore. They're considering taking their lives. And one thing you said, you gave an example to somebody. You said, you know, if you do kill yourself when it's not part of your contract, you will totally regret it, because you will look back and say, oh my God, I just wasted a treasure, a wonderful moment. And you, not only are you totally aware of all the pain you left, you hear every horrible thought, you hear every moan and groan, but also you realize how you have jeopardized, or sabotaged the
Mm-hmm.
life purpose of others. Like, say, if you had lived a little longer, you would live long enough to father a child that would grow up to find a cure for all cancers, Then
Mm-hmm.
because of what you did by taking your life, then many people will suffer and die. Is that
Yeah.
still the
Yeah.
case?
So yes. So when suicide is not part of the plan, and more often than not, it is a free will decision. Yeah, you're removing yourself from your contract, and oftentimes, what happens is when you get back to the other side, then of course you're aware of what you've done, and you know that you had come into that life to learn specific lessons and to help in certain ways. So oftentimes souls will choose to come back into a life very similar to the one that they opted out of. So if you're already 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years through it, don't put yourself back to the starting point. And yes, by taking the opportunity away from other people learning what they needed to learn from it's almost like you collect a karmic debt to them, that you, maybe if you had stayed, you would not have acquired that karmic debt.
Yeah. What did you realize after you crossed it? You obviously knew you took your own life.
Well, yeah. So what he's saying is that he realized because okay. So when he said, when you take your life like that, you get to not only review your life but look forward to see what you would have missed,
Oh.
what you were supposed to do. So he said in that he was able to see all the opportunities that he took away from others, and actually it physically, Jennifer, it gives me like a sick feeling in my throat.
Oh.
I feel like, I all this opportunity that I took away. So he says I have a karmic debt. I have a karmic debt to the people that I left like that, and I have to work on that. And I do some of the work from over here. I am able to repay some of the karmic debt from over here. And it's like, one of the things he just showed me is like saving the dog from, running out into the road, or, something like this.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
like, like that's one of the things he says he does to, you might not know it while you're here, but this is
Oh, yeah.
one of the ways he helps. But for as much as there can be sadness and disappointment over there, he says, there's sadness and disappointment at what I did not stay to finish.
Well, I thought it was a contract. Was it a contract for you to take your life? From what I understood from the early sessions, you said it was a contract, but you were supposed to wait until you were in your late 20s. Maybe that.
Yeah, it's whatever time he did it, that was the free will choice at that moment. It was too early. It was too soon.
Oh, I
It
wish
was
I could have gotten a few more years with you, babe.
Yeah, and it was he said it was very impulsive. It was very impulsive, very spur of the moment. decision in that moment. But yeah, it was supposed to be years later.
What was the last straw for you? What triggered that impulse?
Hopelessness
Yeah.
is what he just said to me. Hopelessness.
Mm.
Um, so I just knew my mind wasn't going to get right. It wasn't going to get right. I knew I couldn't get my mind right. And I just felt hopeless, and I wanted it to stop.
Yeah. Ugh. So what things did you see once you crossed over that you messed up as far as messing with other people's contracts? I mean, you talk about keeping the dog from running into the street. What other little things?
Well, that's one of the ways he's repaid some of the karma from the other side. But it's, he's directing me to the family, to the immediate family, that there was just, conversations that didn't get to happen, events that didn't get to happen, that he didn't get to be a part of, that had I been there, things would have gone differently. The actual event, how it happened, because of that he said that created so much karma for me, and it set everybody else on a different path than what they were supposed to be on at that moment. And it's mostly with family and close friends, because I do feel like what he's telling me is, if he had stayed, as he had moved forward, his circle of people would have gotten smaller and smaller. So it would have been really
True.
just about his family and some close friends.
True.
And outside of that, he directly would not have affected other people's lives, but what he did, and then what the family and the friends spread out, would have. But
Right.
he said my circle would have gotten very, very small.
Yeah, because you alienated people with your moods.
Yeah, with my behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for example, I mean, did we go on paths that were better or worse? Or I guess there's
parallel, that like not better, not worse. They would have been like a parallel, not better, not worse. Because he said you would have been dealing with this stuff anyways. And so it's like, what's interesting is that he's also saying that the grief, if he had stayed, the grief he would have caused in those years would have been more. So he said that grief, I spared some of that grief, but in addition, the loss happened much sooner. So there's grief in other areas.
Oh, I see.
Because he's like, his behavior, he said, would have gotten more erratic as he moved through those years. It would have gotten more erratic.
Yeah.
And he okay, that's interesting. He just said there was the potential, if he had stayed moving forward, that when he did go, he may have taken somebody else with him.
Oh God. Oh, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Why?
By you
Not on purpose. Not on purpose.
Or by that person being so distraught they killed themselves.
I don't feel like, not a murder. It would not have been a murder. So I don't know if this would have been potentially a vehicle accident, if somebody would have, like something like that, where there would have been the potential for somebody else to have been connected in the passing.
Well, that's not cool. Whose path did you change the most? How about, let's talk about your brother Lucas?
Yours.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know how my path changed. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, when you said that, he was like, she knows that answer. It's her.
What about of your siblings?
Well, yes, of course, the immediate family is whose paths got changed the most. But I what he's telling me is that all of you have, it's like, you went way down, but you're coming back up. You found a way to take this and turn it into something, that he said the ripple effect is so huge out from your family, just so huge. And he said you guys are aware of some of it, but it's like about a tenth of what your ripple effect actually is from your family is what you guys are aware of. It's
Wow.
huge in a good way. This is
Yeah.
this whole thing is horrible and tragic as it was, and as much as it changed people's paths, he said the amount of good that has come out of this is almost immeasurable.
Oh, God. Well, thank God. Well, what siblings' path did you change the most? Christina, Annika, Michelle, or Lucas?
I'm being directed to Lucas.
Okay. And
Uh,
how did that change?
um,
I mean, because he totally changed after you died.
yeah, it was a complete personality change. Uh,
Absolutely, yeah.
but Erik is talking about the compassion.
Mhm.
So I don't like Lucas will tap into this compassion, and he will do something huge with this,
Okay.
with the amount of compassion that he will gain from this event.
Okay. Now,
Um,
I'm thinking about the people who have emailed or private messaged me or commented to me that they struggled with suicide. And there was times where they attempted it or whatever.
mhm.
But then 5, 10, whatever, how many years later, they're so glad they didn't. And I want to tell that to people. They're so glad because now their life is fulfilled. I mean, I'm not talking about because of channeling Erik. I'm just talking about there are a lot of people, period, that
Yes.
that who are just so happy they didn't do it because their life is so fulfilled and they're so happy.
Well, and it's about what Erik is saying. It's about moments, and moments always pass. So in those moments where you just don't want to live anymore, and you actively want to do something, if you can make it through that moment, there's other good moments coming. And for most, he says, for most people who act on suicide, that moment that they do it becomes so overwhelming to them that they can't see anything beyond that. But he says if you just can get through that moment, there's another moment coming that's more bearable.
Okay.
Um,
Now, what is Jennifer's life purpose?
well, uh, he's telling me I'm supposed to be um, spreading the light for people, helping them realize that there is more beyond this lifetime.
Awesome.
Uh, yeah, and then he said that's your main thing. That's your main thing. But then I have all those other little pieces too, all those other little bits and pieces that's just like in 1 second this was part of my purpose because of the ripple effect.
I
But
see.
yeah, to spread the light and to thin the veil for people.
Okay, that's awesome. So, does everybody have these little bitty bits of
Yes.
tiny change, but they have this overall life purpose too?
Yes.
All right, what is my life purpose?
Okay. So you've had some big ones. So first with the medicine and to heal with medicine
Mm-hmm.
was one of your big ones. But now to heal, so you focused on healing the body. Now you focus on healing the mind and the soul for people. That is your purpose now, to help people heal the mind and soul. So
Okay.
you went from body to mind to soul.
Okay. What about a couple of the little bits, the mini life purposes? Oh, you can just name one, for example, if you want.
Well, yeah, and actually, animals, like sharing the love for animals. One of your smaller ones is it has to do with animals and
Okay.
the treatment of animals and the love of animals.
Oh, cool. Erik, what was your life purpose when you were on the earthly plane?
Okay, one of his what he's saying is one of his big ones was to help people with tolerance. Uh,
Ah,
yeah, and to and well, and to spread information about mental illness, addiction, and this, what he does now, ties into his life purpose as well. So he still works on it over there, with you and
Okay.
he directly. But tolerance was one of the big things here for him,
Well, that's
his
interesting.
own and others.
Yeah, that is so true. Uh, Now, let's talk about spiritual missions. Is that the same? Is it just a synonym for life purpose?
Yeah, yeah, they're very closely related.
Is there any
So
difference at all?
no, no, no. There really isn't. The spiritual, that word, um, is just, yeah, about the life purpose, the meaning of your life.
Ah,
It's
you gotcha.
yeah. But sometimes people resonate more with spiritual. That
Ah,
word,
yeah.
yes.
Do spirits, when they're on the other side, do they ever have a different spiritual mission on that side than they did when they were humans?
Yeah, so it's like, um, yes. Again, that whole big picture of like just learning, just knowledge
Oh,
and
yeah,
gaining
sure.
knowledge, that's always there. But yes, you may decide, well, I'm going to work on patience, I'm going to work on tolerance, I'm going to work on love, I'm going to, yeah. So we can change what we decide to work on. If a soul, for instance, and if they come in and they have addiction, well, addiction usually spans over many lifetimes.
Ah,
But if they can come into a lifetime, that soul, and they can kind of master the addiction issue, well, then the next time they come in, that might not be something that they would want to work on
ah.
because they don't need to anymore. So they would pick something else.
Why do spirits in human form struggle with addiction? What's the
Okay,
spiritual thing behind that?
so it's the whole connection with the soul and the physical body. It's why so many of us carry stuff from a past life, because when the soul gets back into the physical body, there's cell memory. And addiction is one that is very, very tough. So when the soul gets back into the body remembers the addiction or the fear
Ah,
or the panic or the depression. So a lot of these kind of issues come from other lifetimes as well. When somebody has an absolute phobia of the water, well, and when they get back into the body on a subconscious level, they remember that. So
mm.
that fear is just as strong as it was when they were drowning in the other lifetime.
Oh, wow,
The
that's
same with
awful.
addiction. And addiction is a very tough one because it
Well,
affects everything in the body.
yeah, but what about the very first time life that the person had an addiction? Why? Is there anything spiritual about that?
Yeah, so sometimes it is spiritual, and what Eric just showed me is like a path. Like if you're on a path, and that very first time in a life that you choose addiction, there's a moment when you could not do the drug or not have the alcohol, or you could, and it's that decision in that moment that determines what will happen. And then, yeah, sometimes it's just part of the soul's journey. um,
Okay.
yeah, not that you would always have to become an addict, but that there would be the potential for it, or you could learn from it and not do it. Um,
So, what
Free
is the
will.
spiritual lesson behind the initial addiction? Is it uh, self discipline? Is it perseverance? Is it? I mean, is there any? Or maybe it's lots of different things. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is lots of different things, and sometimes it is truly because the soul agreed to do that because other people in their life needed to have an experience with an addict. Um,
I was just thinking that. I think Eric
mhm.
gave that to me. It's like, yeah,
Yes.
you have to learn how to be humble when you're taking care of an addict. You have to learn
Mhm.
how to have acceptance and unconditional love and all
Yes,
that.
and so what he's saying about that is that, yes, that is true, and that was part of what he was here to do, was to help you and your family learn from that. But along the way, he also had opportunities to learn and move past it as well. And so he said sometimes, and he literally just turned his back. that he would turn his back, because he said, I had all the help I could have ever wanted.
Oh God, yes.
Everything I could have needed would have been given to me to help with this and recover from this. But he said, I turned my back to it. So yes, you had lessons to learn and he was able to teach them to you, but he was also here to try to learn and move past this.
Yeah. You really didn't have much problem with addiction. You might have been addicted to like trying to find some new toy or some new hobby or whatever to get you out of the doldrums. So you were sort of addicted to, well, what else can I do? What else can make me happy?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So that is an addiction, I guess.
Yes.
But you didn't do much of the way.
Well, what he's saying is that like sometimes it's the same sort of mental frame of mind. When there's like a little bit of a mental illness, so to speak, going on, and addiction, he's like, they kind of affect a similar area. So a lot of times the behaviors are kind of similar.
That makes sense. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we close? And we'll talk about another topic maybe if we have time. Erik, do you have anything else to say about life purpose / spiritual mission?
Yeah, just for the people who are listening to this, just, especially if you're really wondering what your life purpose is and what are you supposed to be doing and am I doing enough, just take a deep breath and understand that you are and you're doing the best you can and that we are not here to be perfect.
Oh, how can somebody tell if they are not on there? I mean, what kind of symptoms, spiritual or physical or whatever, for somebody who has lost their way, who has fallen off the path that they contracted to walk down?
Okay, so a lot of times there'll be, there's going to be, we're humans, so there's going to be levels of stress and anxiety anyways, but when it becomes almost debilitating, when you start to not be able to sleep and you're nothing that you do is quite satisfying you and you don't quite feel happy with anything, well, you probably really need to look at what you're doing, think about what it is you truly want, and focus on that. When you're just, if you're just trying to get through your day and it's just miserable, well, you're probably veered off your path a bit.
All right. Let's see. Are there any physical diseases or conditions that are most common when people veer off their path?
I said stomach issues.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how can you find out what your path is? I mean, I guess being regressed with hypnotherapy to life between lives, your between lives area might help. When you're setting up your contract, okay, let's see, where's the blueprints?
Yeah, and he also is saying that when you're that whole mind, body, spirit connection is part of the thing. You need to have that mind, body, spirit connection. And so many people are just so focused on their mind and what's going on in their head that they forget to quiet that down and listen to their intuition, which, is messages from the other side. Listen to their gut instinct, again, messages from the other side. But it's so easy here to live up here and to not listen to the other quieter stuff that's happening in your body.
Yeah, because it's so much louder. That's the problem.
Yes,
but
it is.
As Erik, you said, feel first, think second, instead of thinking first and then making that evoke some feelings. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Erik?
Just that he loves you.
I love you too. Jennifer, is your new website up and running yet?
It is not, but it'll be up probably next week. It'll be psychicmediumjenniferdoran.com. All
right. So, but now they can get in touch with you on Facebook, psychicmediumjenniferdoran.com, right? I mean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just without the .com, yeah.
Without the .com.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Erik.
You're welcome.
I love you both.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.